Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 14 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. For those of you watching live on YouTube, thanks for stopping by, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the show. Before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to thank our supporters on Patreon. Shout out to Art, Brian, Kevin, James, and Karen. Thank you so much for your support. If you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. And if you don't feel so inclined, that's totally okay too. We appreciate you being here. So we are just a few minutes removed from a thrilling Inter Miami 3-1 win over LAFC in LA. And wow, that was awesome. Dave, you called 3-1 in the match preview. So how are you feeling? Here are your flowers.
Give me all of the flowers. I mean, not all of them. Some of them go to the team for pulling it off. But man, this feels so good. I mean, a win always feels good, but it feels even better when you get so many things right in the pregame. I got the final score right. I was off by a minute in the first goal scored prediction. And the one thing that I'm really excited about was that we got both Gomez and Kramansky out there to start the game. It was a very different formation that we got to see at the start of it, and we were all kind of excited and kind of concerned to see what it was going to be like. But I think this is what Tata envisioned when he goes out there with Joseph Martinez in his starting lineup. We got to see Facundo Farias really take off and use his explosion, and it's an element that we haven't really had. I mean, we waited for it, we want it from Joseph, but man, Facundo might be that guy moving forward to give us that speed in attack, and overall, I think that we played from whistle to whistle the best match that we've played all game. Both offensively in the midfield and defensively especially. I mean, we had a clean sheet up until the very end. So I am thrilled, just absolutely thrilled with this outcome.
Yeah, David, he was literally flying. Facu was, man, that run he made in the middle of the game, he was down the middle of the field, and it was amazing. It was exciting from start to finish. We were on the edge of our seats the whole game. But it's exactly what we wanted, especially it's exactly what we needed coming out of that tie 0-0 against Nashville. It's just that energy that we really needed injected into this team. The offense was great. They scored their 2 goals. Messi was an animal as usual, assists all over the place, just making the right runs, being in the right areas, and then our defense, what do we talk about in our preview? That our defense had to step up. Their offense was amazing. They had a great attack. They had the great forwards up there looking to just score at will. But, man, our guy stepped up. Kamal Miller, he was lights out against Vela. Christoph, obviously, as usual, great play. And then we had Aviles that he started off a little rough, but I don't know if it was the nerves or whatever it was, but it seems like he kind of calmed down in that second half. So it was great performance overall, and I can't ask for anything better. I could have asked for a Messi goal, but we can't get everything that we want, right?
Well, I mean, I called it from the beginning. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew we were going to come out on top, and so we did. So I'm really happy about that. No, I didn't. I thought this was going to be our loss, but I'm happy. We came out on top. Obviously, we needed the 3 points with everything we talked about in the last episode. That we needed these guys to, while they were still here, to get us 3 points. We did that. They did that, and now we're looking kind of pretty right now. It's looking a little bit more and more like we can make the playoffs.
This was a huge 3 points to get before the schedule gets really tricky now. I mean, we have maybe what would be considered easier opposition, but the squad rotation that's going to kick in right now is going to be really heavy, and it's really going to complicate things. We're not going to see the same team that we had tonight probably for a few weeks, which is really unfortunate because everything looked really nice today. Other than kind of like what you mentioned, Chris, other than Toto Avilas being a little overly aggressive, which we've commented on before, everything was working really nicely. The Gomez Kramaski uh, midfield with Busquets sitting behind as a pivot, really, really nice. I really liked what I was seeing. I think it provided so much more dynamism in the midfield once we got it into the LA half. LA had the ball, it felt like a lot at the beginning, but we weathered the storm. And then afterwards, the space really opened up. And it's been something that we haven't seen in a few games because we've been playing against these teams that sit in a low block. Nashville, Cincinnati, Nashville again. It's just like it felt so nice to play against a team that, yes, they were very good defensively, but it felt like when we had the ball, we actually had options rather than facing 10 people sitting back waiting for us to kind of go at them. There were actually like pockets of space for our people to go and do stuff, and you saw that with Farias so much, and it was so cool to see him really shine in this match. I thought it was just amazing. I loved everything that I saw.
I can't take
His
this stupid
connection.
smile. I can't take this stupid smile off my face. It's just I usually have like resting like RBF out here, and I can't help but smile. I feel so nice about this. It's just everything seemed to work for us, and as we've seen before, this formation hasn't been. And when we used it in the past, it was like a slog. Granted, it was because the way we were being played as well, but I think that the personnel we had out there for this formation is much more conducive. We had Yedlin and Alba both starting, so that we had the attacking wings, and then I think that having the speed of not only of Faku, but also having Kramaski out there to support out there to this type of formation. So it just works when you have this personnel. It works. So it's true. It does hurt moving forward. We're gonna have a drastically different team, and which is it's not good. But in the sense we're probably not gonna see that low overloaded box because they don't fear when the team doesn't have Messi and them on the field. But I am happy that they said on the broadcast that Canada doesn't have any international fixtures, so at least we do have Miller. We do have Miller still, so it looks like our defense is still pretty set in place, except for Christoph. But that's why it's important for Aviles to get out there and while yes, he was, I think it's just in his nature to be a little bit lungy as we were calling it in the chat, but it's fine as long as he plays within himself. I don't really have a problem with it. He just has to be a little careful when he's challenging and there's nobody left behind him.
I think he was just trying to make plays, which I don't fault him for that. That's not something that I was getting upset about. I thought for the most part we all played pretty well. All the guys stepped up. There's not really much takeaway that I would say negatively. I mean, Robert Taylor didn't play, so that's why we can't say anything negative. But ultimately, like we played exceptional. This is the lineup that I wish we could constantly play. Exactly this. We're constantly talking about Kramaski, taking him out, putting him in. Why can't they both play? You know.
Yeah, and actually, I was kind of scared when I saw the starting lineup that Arroyo wasn't in there. Just because we've seen Gomez, the hot and cold, right? We've seen good Gomez, we've seen bad Gomez, but we've seen a lot of good Arroyo. So I felt like missing Arroyo against a very strong attacking team was gonna just hinder our defensive performance a little bit. But man, Gomez played really, really well, and our defense just held up without Arroyo. And then obviously they put him in later on, and just to kind of shut the game down. But yeah, it was a nice move.
It goes again. Sorry, I have to say here, but it goes again to saying that it helps when everybody knows their finish in the game. So that's a really big deal when it comes to having this starting group out there.
Yeah, I think definitely with Toto, kind of like you guys were saying, it might just be in his nature that he's an aggressive defender, and I what Tata's doing by employing this three center back formation, whether it's three at the back, five at the back, this sort of hybrid that's very fluid, is he's providing him some protection too. Just like we commented the first time that rolled out with this formation, is if Toto gets a little too aggressive, then there's two defenders behind that are ready to kind of step in place. Yedlin can tuck in and help him further. And then, I mean, Drake Callender is ridiculous. Like he saved the initial Buanga shot, and then Buanga was a little bit selfish and didn't pass up to Vela. And man, like Calendar got in Buanga's head early, and he just lived there rent free the rest of the match because it just ridiculous, like just ridiculous.
That wide open stop that he made, I mean, Blanco was like in his face, and he still made the stop somehow. God knows how, but I mean, it was incredible that stop. And then obviously he had, I don't know how many saves he had. I haven't looked at the sheet, but 4, 5, 6 saves maybe the rest of the game. He got that one, or they got that one corner in. It was kind of a, I was mad of it about it because it was kind of a freakish goal, but still he played lights out. You kind of asked for a much better performance from Calendar.
Yeah, he's just like we're just running out of superlatives, right? He's just every time that the opposition gets it's at least once a match that he comes in and makes just a ridiculous save where you would expect 9 times out of 10 the opposition to score. And you look at Boanga in the pregame, they were asking all the panelists, all the analysts, is this guy a legitimate candidate for MVP? Because he's just been on a tear. And immediately he gets involved in the match on a one-on-one, and Calendar just stonewalls him. And then it almost seems like Buanga, when he broke away and had Vela to the right, it almost felt like Buanga wanted to make a point and be like, you're not going to stop me all night. And then that play just blew up in Buanga's face. Vela was just fuming. And then after that point, we had kind of weathered the early storm, and then we were able to grow into the match more. And it's all a trickle effect because of what Calendar did by stopping the initial Buanga shot. So it's so cool to see the ripple effect that a save can have and become just a huge moment in the game. Like obviously he saved a goal, but just then, okay, he saved the goal, but now the whole team is able to grow into the game and have more time to grow into the game rather than chasing a 1-0 deficit, you know? Just huge. Like I'm running out of things to say because every time he does something, I'm like, well, I kind of expected him to do it, but also that was freaking incredible.
Well, I mean, also we are, we can't regret to. I don't regret to say it, but like while I was wrong, it's one of those things that it was a statement game also, right? Like it was something where we all needed this win. We got it, and it came off the back of just a lot of people just stepping up. It wasn't just one or two guys this game, and I think you guys were right in the last episode. This game was very open for all of us. It was not mucked up like in these Eastern Conference games. It was way easier for us to move the ball around. It did look like liquid, but at times we weren't even trying to do liquid. We did a different element today where we're just trying to just shoot the ball up the pitch and just, all right, let's go, Campana, go get it at the end. Like it was constantly happening with different players, just long pass down the side, go run, outside in, nice pass. It was liquid in a different way. That's what we found today.
It was icy.
Yeah, a different viscosity to our liquid.
It's just nice to see that this team has the resiliency to adjust, because that's one thing that we were kind of worried about in that 0-0 result, was they didn't really adjust to what was put in front of them. I like seeing that they're able to handle different kinds of opponents. It'll be seen if they can adjust to that, to the overloaded box in the future. But right now they're showing that when we have all our cards in play, nobody's going to stand in our way.
So long as we don't give up corners.
Yeah, we should just get rid of that as a rule. Like if it goes out, it's just a goal kick, regardless.
Curiously speaking, off topic on this real quick. I get it, we dominated. Did you guys ever notice like the flag like in the middle of the game, like already towards the end of the game, it was like 3-1, 3-0, and these poor guys, these like they're like going like this, and they're like sitting down like
In
just
the supporter
off, and then
section, you
like
mean?
I
The like
I
the
thought
yeah,
the
fans have the yellow
supporters.
like
flag?
you saw this flag,
I
they're
thought
like
the
they kept waving
supporters
the
were
flag.
great. I thought the LA supporters were great because it was 3-0 late
David,
into
I
that
think they
game,
were paid.
and that
There's no
supporter
way.
section was still rocking. They were still cheering. I give LAFC's fans props for sticking out because if this was Miami, I'm pretty sure everybody would be gone.
David, I think
That's
everybody
facts.
was
That's true.
gone. I think everybody was gone. They were just putting the only section that was still there that they were getting paid to be there.
That's the supporters section. That's the
Like,
actual
like
fans.
if you were to see the flag there, like there's this. I wish I would have taken a video of it just so we could put
Oh,
it on TikTok. There's this little guy. There's this like fat old guy. He was just sitting there, just looking at the like so mad, just like angry. And it was like,
don't crap
why
on
don't you
those fans. I thought
just
that they
put the
were
flag down?
outstanding.
It's over.
So
Yeah,
you're
There was a
telling me
lot
they
of people.
didn't pan into Selena Gomez anymore after the 3-0?
Yeah,
The
oh,
cat.
she was still there. Yeah.
There was a lot of pink. There was a lot of pink in the stands, so that's always
Mm.
nice to see. But yeah, that supporter section I thought was outstanding for them.
it was as loud as supporter section or general like atmosphere that I've heard over the broadcast. Like Philly got out of it really early, so we didn't get the full effect, I guess. Cincinnati had its moments, but this was the loudest I heard it like throughout. Like even when they were down 2-0, 3-0, it was still like you could hear how loud it was. So yeah, credit to them. I mean, like you said, if this was Miami, they'd be out of there. So heading into this match, I was really interested to see how much possession we would be able to even control. And early on, it felt like LA had the ball a lot. And then I checked at 15 minutes, and we had the ball for almost 60%. And
That's
I was
crazy.
like, that
It
feels
didn't feel like that at all.
at all because they had the
Yeah.
more dangerous chances. But then after those 15 minutes, we really like started kind of tightening up and really holding on to the ball for long stretches of time. And given that LA play, they don't play as much in the low block. Like it was that possession that we love, like that possession that has intent behind it and has like real moments of you're like, ooh, we're like one touch away, one pass away from like a really dangerous opportunity. Which it felt again, not to harp on it, but it felt like we hadn't seen that in so long. And then you start questioning like, oh, is it Tata? Is it the personnel on the pitch? Like, what's going on? But then you see against opposition like this, which granted, LAFC, one of the best teams in the league, they don't play defensive, so they leave themselves vulnerable to a team like us, where we kind of excel against teams that allow us to play more openly like this. It was so refreshing to see the capabilities of this team because, our offense had been, I guess, in a slump, if you want to call it that, scoring like one goal a game, no goals against Nashville. And we were really starting to question what's going on here. But then you see a game like this and you're like, if we make it to the playoffs, like, look out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine who was questioning, before this game. But
Jose would
yeah,
never.
no, I agree. I totally agree. Like it was kind of sad to watch in the last few games, just because from a standpoint of like as fans, you're expecting this liquid football, this total football that we weren't really seeing. And all of a sudden, I don't know, they got the feet under them, and they just started knocking the ball around, and everyone seemed to know where to go. Uh, we also know that the formation did change, which is something that felt way more natural. Just the way we were playing, it just felt right. It also the characters changed also. Putting Fadia up there, putting Campana afterwards. I think it did help. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I think that's a little tweak here and there, but I mean that's all we needed.
Yeah, I think we all of us, all four of us, got our wish to see Farias, Messi, and Kermaski up there attacking. We were all calling for it for a while. It wasn't maybe the formation that we were thinking of because that was kind of a curveball, but yeah, we all got to see it, and it looked pretty good. The connection between them looked great. Kramaski, I don't think got a great rating overall, but it still seemed like he was super aggressive and just ready to attack wherever he was at. So I'm cool with it.
That's what I was saying. That yeah, Kramaski I think had the worst rating on the pitch with I think he had a 6.6 when I looked at it, but he makes his presence felt constantly. He may not be the best rated defender, but he'll just nag. He'll nag the possessor until they have no choice of either backing off or passing it off. And it's a trait that's really, really necessary on this team, especially when you have some of our older players who don't attack as on defense as much. It's really important to have that pest on your team, and he filled the role today perfectly. He and also it's just the way Kramaski plays with Messi. I feel like they understand each other very well. Farias today as well. I think he played in a way that they just connected well. It's you're seeing it more and more that our young pieces are really melding with Messi.
But Gomez too, though, right? It was Kramaski and Gomez on the other side, where they're doing the stuff that Messi and Sergio don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? So when you have these young guys just flying around there, it makes it way easier for Messi and Sergio to just be them. They don't have to necessarily put so much effort into chasing down balls. They already have the young guys doing it for them, you know. And then when you throw in taking off Joseph and you put in Campana for being a big striker, he was all over there trying to press the back line as well. You just have these young guys doing it all around. Avilas in the back line. You know, you just have these young guys just constantly putting pressure. It takes off of the other guys from playmaking. You know, they can just be playmakers. Get the ball in the back of the net.
I think you really see with Kramaski and with Gomez, because Messi's walking around, let's face it, once the ball gets turned over and he realizes he's like not in the play. So having Kramaski and Gomez be very willing to do like a counter press once the ball's been turned over is so important, because it led to a couple moments where LAFC turned the ball over and like Busquets would be receiving it like straight to his feet from LAFC, and then immediately a break could start. It's so important to have players that are willing to do that, especially given that we have, like you guys are saying, older players around the pitch that are doing less pressing immediately upon turning the ball over. And yeah, this game was so refreshing. Like I love it. And we would be remiss not to talk more about Messi, because he finished the game with 2 assists. Both of them were beautiful. One was actually beautiful. The other one was beautiful because he assisted Campana. So who wants to talk about Messi's assist to Jordi Alba?
That assist to Jordi Alba was just I laughed because I didn't see it. Like I didn't see the lane to Alba. So I was just looking at the bottom of the screen. I'm like, oh, he's gonna pass it down. And then when he pushed it up, I was like, for a split second, I was like, to who? And then Alba just sprinted in there, and
I was looking at the same thing. I was looking at the same thing David was looking at. I saw Yedlin on the bottom, and I thought they were just going to pass it down to Yedlin, and then he ends up just finding Alba right up the middle. I was like, Jesus. I was watching with a party for my father-in-law's birthday, and we're all watching the game, which is something. It's just funny. Like when would we ever all say, "Hey, let's turn on the Inter Miami game"? You know what I'm saying? Like this is what's happening now. This is what people want to do in Miami now. They want to see these guys put on a show, and that's exactly what happened today. They put on a show, and all the stars were wearing the LAFC shirts, but guess what? They weren't rooting for them.
Yeah, that specific play, I was sitting next to my wife, and I kept seeing it and watching it over and over again a bunch of times, and I kept telling her, "Did you see that? Did you see that pass? Like, it was perfect. It's just like a perfect lane, and I don't know how he did it, but I kept telling her, "Did you see that?" I don't know how many times I told her, but yeah, she saw it, and we all saw it, and it was incredible. It really was. The magic that this guy does. We're spoiled right now to see this, especially here in the MLS, honestly.
Let's keep it real, though. He should have had a goal. I don't know if when they showed the replay, he wasn't even looking. He was looking at the ball. But if he looked up, he could have just slid it in to the keeper's right, and he had the whole goal open on that side. But regardless, this guy is just he's on a different level, and it's so obvious. Every time he gets the ball, he can just like create little pockets of space where defenders can't do anything, even if they're within 2 feet of him, and they're just left there looking like middle schoolers. Like it's just amazing every time he gets the ball, and then he plays it like you're saying, Chris. He just plays a ball that you're just like, holy crap! Like that was perfect. The ball he played to Campana for the assist, and not just because it was on it. The weight on it was so perfect that Campana was able to just run onto it and hit it into the corner, and it was just amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful play. It was a beautiful play. Messi just shot it up out of nowhere, and Campana happened to put it in the back of the net. I was so happy about that.
I love there was one play, I mean, the goal that Messi should have had. There was one that he dribbled around everybody and he just waited and made space and made space and made space until he finally took a shot, and he had that shot and he had the goal, and I don't know if he miskicked it, but he kicked it right at the goalkeeper. And that was the one that would have put him on the board, and it was just a shame that he wasn't able to convert there. But yeah, I mean, this is just one of those games that while everything didn't go our way, a whole hell of a lot did. It was not just us on offense, even though we did miss a couple goal scoring chances. We were very fortunate when it came to some of the chances that LA kind of blew. I mean, you had a couple of Boanga mistakes, but also they also had another set piece that I'm pretty sure Aaron Long blocked his own attack. So I mean, this game could have been much tighter, and we're fortunate as well to have been on some of the better ends of some of these fortunes.
Yeah, I think everyone in the stadium, they showed everyone after that Messi miss, like the during and then the after, and everyone's like, they expected him to make it, and then all of a sudden they were like, "What?" Surprised with their mouths wide open. So yeah, I think we all had that same reaction. But guys, the other thing that I want to bring up is I don't think we could finish this off without talking about Facu's first goal in the MLS. That was incredible. Just the way he finished it. I mean, I don't think any of us could have ever expected him to, like, what was that, a slide tackle almost?
How have we
It
not,
was
how have we
crazy.
not how have we not spoken about that? You're absolutely right.
That's why I had to bring it up, man. I mean, that was amazing. And the setup to it too. The pass from Aviles back there was perfect, and then he just worked some magic up there to just put it into that corner.
I wonder if that's a scripted play on our part, because doesn't that remind you a lot of the Christoph to Martinez goal earlier in the season? Long ball played by the center back, and then Martinez just peeling one off and hitting it. It wasn't as drastic as this one. That I remember how much we were amazed at Martinez's strike, and we're like, wow, he kind of hit it tailing off. Facu one upped him and said, "Watch this," and he did a slide tackle.
A fadeaway.
Yeah, this was a slide tackle that turned into a goal.
He said, "Hold my yerba mate. Watch this." But yeah, you're totally right. It was so similar when they showed the replay from behind the defenders. It was the same alleyway, and when Facu went down and slid, I was like, okay, well, like that didn't work. And then the ball kept kind of like tailing back towards the goal, and it bounced off the post, and I was like, oh yes, like what a great start. It's amazing. And I was so happy for Facu too. Like he's so dynamic. He's so explosive, and he had some touches today where he would like just turn away and run away from defenders and kind of like shrugged off some tackles. Man, like I'm so excited for what the future holds for him. I love that Tata's putting him in more advanced positions, almost like a striker. But, you know, like he just seems like he has so much flexibility in where he can play that I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next, because he's just like the exciting piece that's kind of like a variable in all of this.
He wasn't called up, right? We're gonna have to rely on Facu. I think going forward, I think he's gonna between him and Campana. I think we're really gonna be using them in attack.
We're gonna have what I think 9 people left after everyone's called up. Like, I think we have no choice.
Didn't we get one late announcement like a couple days ago? Then now it's 10. I don't know. It's more. It's at least 9.
I forget who it was.
Yeah.
but
Sorry
yeah,
to put everyone on the spot, but
they did call a 10th person. I don't remember who. Was
It's
it Gomez? I think it was Gomez.
maybe.
I don't remember who it was, but it was 10. I know the number is 10 for sure.
I'm pretty sure Gomez was the late call up.
Yeah. So we're gonna see a lot of tinkering in the next couple matches that are gonna be just as big, if not bigger. Kansas City's next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's another West Coast game or Western Conference game. And yeah, man, it feels good to get these 3 points, let me tell you. And I can't wait to see what the numbers look like as far as how many people tuned into the broadcast. And this is just like another showcase of how awesome this is. Like, it's unbelievable. Week after week, match after match, it just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It's just appointment television at this point.
Yeah, and about those numbers, Julio, they have to skyrocket. It's LA. It's one of the biggest markets for any sport, really. In all of America, it's one of the biggest markets. So the numbers have to be huge. Along with Messi there, they have to broken some sort of MLS record or something. It has to. There's no way they did it.
I mean, look, ultimately, like Julio was talking about, now we have Kansas City coming up. They're not as strong a team as what we've been facing. Up to now we've been steadily like climbing in difficulty level. This game it goes down a notch. They're more of a middle of the pack, not in the playoff team in the Western Conference. If everything was normal, it shouldn't be an issue. It would be kind of like a Red Bull. So when we played the Red Bulls, that we should have an easy 3 points. But I'm excited because now you can't help it. But I mean, I can't help it. Like you see the three points that you really weren't counting on. I wasn't counting on. No, you guys were. I was not counting on it. And now all of a sudden you're like, wait, now we have an easier opponent. We're not going to have half of our team, but at least it's an easier opponent, so that kind of balances out a little bit. Maybe some of the guys are not going to be there, but hey, we can go ahead and make some noise and just start stacking points.
Yeah, we'll be missing Messi, so that's going to be a tough gap to fill. But you're right. I mean, to your point, like it's hard to keep in perspective, but there are so many new pieces that make this Inter Miami team different than before Messi. It's like, obviously Messi has a huge hand in what's been happening, but there are so many other pieces. Tonight was the first match that all 6 new transfers started. So it's not just Messi, it's Alba and Busquets, who we know are going to be playing because they're not signed up for their national teams anymore. We have Gomez, and we have Facu, and we have Toto. So all those pieces combined with Messi have changed Inter Miami from being the worst team in the league to a team that matches up with the titans of our league. It's just it's going to be tough, even though the opposition on paper is lesser than an LAFC or a Cincinnati. But yeah, I like our chances. Like even without Messi, our team is substantially better than it was before.
And we've kind of taken off in a different point where these guys are all, you could tell they're oozing with confidence at this point. Even with I don't know, maybe they show up and they're a different team when they play Kansas City, but these guys, without Messi having the ball in his hands in these last few games, they've still been doing their thing and they've been doing pretty well. Today is the first time I see the collective of the whole team just say, hey, we're going to win this game. And that was nice to see them grab the bull by the horns.
I remember now who the 10th person was. It wasn't Gomez, because I was like, who are they going to replace Messi with? Oh, yeah, Robert Taylor. It's not going to be Robert Taylor. Robert Taylor also got called up.
Nice. We love that.
Hey, Jose, after this great win, what's your power rankings looking like now? Last episode, you said Miami was only 1 through 4. Are they back to being 1 through 5
Yeah,
or what?
we went down because we tied. Having said that, if I had also said if we were lose, I would have to consider taking off another ranking. No, we're back to 1 through 5. I would even dare to say that we're 1 through 6. Best teams in the MLS. But I'm a little worried now because not having half of our team coming on Kansas City, we might drop again, but we'll see. I can't be the one to say that we're gonna lose again. I'll leave it to David. David's gonna do that, I'm sure.
Jose, I'm having some pancakes tomorrow morning. Flip flopping over here, so you're invited to join me if you like.
I would love to eat. I love pancakes. I'm a big fan, so I don't mind.
So to your point, that's what makes the 3 points from tonight so massive, so impactful, because we weren't necessarily expecting, like, we would have been happy with 1 point tonight. To get all 3 is huge in its impact for the rest of the season. So right now we're 8 points back of a play-in spot behind DC United and 2 games in hand. Huge. Like, this is really getting within reach. So we need to hope that can keep tinkering and keep getting these guys in good positions to challenge for those 3 points every match, especially now when certain pieces are going to be missing. So it's going to be interesting. This makes it way more interesting than if we would have lost, because the games are starting to really, we're starting to lose out on the quantity of games we have left. So this was a massive 3 points. Like, I can't emphasize that enough, how big of a 3 points this was, because like you said, we weren't necessarily like anticipating getting them.
Yeah, and
I did.
and the dominoes have kind of been falling our way as well, right? The teams that needed to lose have been losing. Except for, I think there was one, the Nashville versus Charlotte yesterday. They tied. Charlotte got that 1 point, but it's not too big of a deal. We play them twice coming up, so we could hopefully make up for that. But yeah, the dominoes have been falling our way, and hopefully it keeps going that way. It just makes the road to the playoffs a lot easier for us. So we'll see moving forward. There's a lot of interesting matchups coming up.
We just gotta keep playing LAFC because we're just gonna dominate them every time.
So unfortunately, we do not play LAFC again. This was only the 3rd time I think we played them in our club's history. So we don't play them.
First time that we've ever scored against them as well, let alone
Lucky for them.
The start of the new dawn is upon us. So as we've been saying, Kansas City matches next. We play them on the 9th of September. So that's what, Friday? Oh no, today's the 4th
Saturday.
because it's
Saturday.
1 p.m. Yeah, so Saturday we play against Kansas City, and that will be at home. So should be another fun one. All these games are fun now. Even the ones that are kind of a slog, that are mucked up like Nashville. I don't expect Kansas City to play as sound defensively as Nashville, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll be there every step of the way. We have a really exciting interview coming out on Tuesday with ESPN's Luis Miguel Echegaray, so be sure to tune in for that. That'll be dropping. Huge shout out to him for participating and joining us for that. And we'll have a preview for the Kansas City match out probably Thursday, Friday. So, turn that notification bell on. Make sure you're subscribed. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, especially on the YouTube Live. And if you're listening on audio, thank you so much for listening to the end. But for now, we are the Heron Heads, the first place for all things Inter Miami, and hope you have a great night.